You're listening to KZUU 90.7 FM Pullman. We are a broadcast service of the ASWSU. If you are in need of emotional support, reach out to the 24-hour-a-day National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255. It is a confidential service to those in distress. WSU Counseling and Psychological Services also offers counseling at counsel.wsu.edu and after hours at 509-335-2159. One more time, 509-335-2159. I hope you guys found that helpful. I was supposed to do an ad, but that was the thing that I opened. So let's go. My name is Eli, and this is the Ponder Cruise podcast. I am here with Jack today, and we're going to have a fantastic discussion. So sit down, relax, cruise along. I think we're live. I think people can hear us.
Well, if you can, hello. My name's Jack.
Yeah, we're good. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. About yourself?
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Dude, I like this too. What is he's got? It's like half brown, half white with a brown pocket.
Yeah, these are all like I got a bunch of these. These are corduroy jackets. Oh my gosh, I absolutely love these. This is probably the only thing I look good in, to be honest.
I have not seen corduroy in years.
Well, it's making a comeback.
Is it time for corduroy to become popular?
Oh, absolutely.
When was corduroy big?
I think like. Is it like the 2000s?
Is it really the 2000s?
Was it? I remember seeing like a few people in this sort of like get up. Maybe it was earlier though.
Dude, do you remember that like book that was like Corduroy Bear or something when you were a kid?
No, I did.
Oh man,
what was that one about?
I had this like book when I was a kid that was about these bears made out of corduroy. That was the plot.
That is an excellent book.
They like were on a bus, and then. I don't even, yeah. Good book. Right, highly recommended. People should check it out.
Was that the advertisement you were going to read?
Yes.
Thank you to our sponsors, the Corduroy Bears on a bus.
That sounds better. So, Jack, what has happened this week?
Oh my goodness!
Give us a report.
Well, first things first, man. A little while ago, specifically on November. Sorry.
You can grab it.
Oh, sweet. Yo. This is my first time on a podcast, so I am a little green to this whole thing. Thank you for your patience with me.
You're doing great, bro.
Sweet, thank you. I went to a really awesome business expo I volunteered with for Cougs First. That was absolutely awesome. I'm a little biased here because I'm with the organization, but it is an absolutely incredible business network. It's by Cougs for Cougs, and this business expo had everything. Like all of these Coug-owned businesses. I'm talking like Jones Soda, College Hill. All of these were at this business expo, and I got to just tour around, ask people questions, help out with certain building certain things, and it was just oh my gosh, it was so much fun, man.
You were working for it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was volunteering for it. I helped get people scanned in after they get signed up and everything, telling people oh hey, this place, this booth is over here, this booth is over here. I helped the vendors get set up, but really it was mainly just all the vendors coming together and we're just let's just have a great expo.
Was it called something? It was just like a business expo.
Yeah, it was like the Cougs First Business Expo, something like that. Yeah,
okay.
Like Cougs First Expo.
That's sick. When did that happen?
November 1st.
Was everyone in suits?
Not everyone, because it was open to the public, and anyone could just come in and say oh man, this is awesome. We have a really cool show going on in Spokane, and just get signed up, come on in, and just tour all these different companies.
Yeah.
All in the same place, so you can learn about all these different organizations that, hey, maybe they're looking to hire, or maybe they have a new product that they're unveiling. I saw the Jones Soda booth. They were unveiling their new Mary Jones line of cannabis-infused soda.
No way.
Seriously, it was so cool. I saw it and I was like, whoa, wait.
They have samples?
I asked, and you know what they told me? This was something insane. So Washington was the second state to get legalized with marijuana, right? But because of that, our laws are super archaic. So the Washington laws are super restrictive on consumers, on businesses, on growers. I mean, you can't grow like your own marijuana like industry, or not industry, your own marijuana like company just like from the ground up. You need to have like $1 million worth of investable money just to get started. Yeah, seriously. Because nothing is like tax write-offable because it's the marijuana industry. Every other state, it's not like that. I mean, in Montana, the bud tenders just like hand you a jar and just like, oh yeah, go ahead, smell this, man. I mean, this is like really good. You could like go pick up one of the buds, just, oh, that's great. But in Washington, it's like, no. We have everything set up accordingly. We will give you your product, you shall leave, and then you shall come back, and maybe we will accept you. I mean, it is so restrictive here in Washington. And I mean, I'm a finance and economics major, so whenever I hear about, super restricted industries, I'm just thinking, if they just lifted some of those restrictions, how much tax revenue is the government going to get out of that? Because it doesn't matter what the price is for cannabis, people are still going to buy it. And if you're charging a 30% tax in Washington, which is what they're doing, I mean, you're going to make so much money. But instead, they're still restricting it because we have this archaic design of just like, well, we made these laws back then. We don't really need to change them. But we desperately do. Please, if any lawmakers are watching this, please, for the love of God, change the laws.
Please do. Do you know the tax revenue for alcohol?
Yeah, I think the sin tax on alcohol is something like 15 or 20%. I mean, it is insane. Like, we have such a high sin tax for both cannabis and liquor and alcohol. And then you go over to Idaho, it's only 6%.
I love the word sin tax.
Yeah. I saw in a documentary about Vegas, like the making of Vegas, the narrator called the gambling, cigarette, and alcohol industries the sindustries. Yeah. But it makes so much sense. I mean, all of those are oh, you really shouldn't be doing that. That's bad. But, we'll still take the tax revenue from that.
Yeah, bro, I'm a industry finance manager. What kind are you? Just normal? Yeah. That's what I thought.
Oh, you're not in the industries?
You're not in this industry, bro. What are you doing?
You don't got your devil horns yet, man? Come on, man.
I love Vegas. Anyways.
I think I've been to Vegas 8 times now.
What?
Yes.
So, how old are you right now?
I'm 21.
Okay, so you've been to the... I guess you can go to the hotels even before that, right?
Yeah, so the first 6 times I went was I was still a minor,
Mm-hmm.
and it was all going to different football bowl games because my dad is a football coach, currently a special teams coach for Stanford.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
So the game was kind of interesting to watch. I felt like, oh yeah, my dad won, but am I supposed to be happy about that? I don't know. So I just wore red, But I've been to Vegas 6 or 7 times just for bowl games. That's it. And we would go around and try and find things that kids like me and my brother could do. And let me tell you, there are not that many things you can do.
I'm not surprised. What's your favorite hotel?
Oh man, I feel like there's a lot of history in Caesar's Palace.
Yeah, I've heard that's a big one.
Yeah, that one. That's been I want to say that's been around since the 70s, and they've just been they've been a staple of the strip for ever now. I mean, I can't think of Vegas without the MGM and Caesars specifically. Those two are just the titans.
Which one is the MGM?
The MGM Grand. That's the MGM's biggest hotel casino. I mean,
does it have a theme, or is it just resort?
It's just resort.
Okay. But nice.
Oh yeah, very very nice. Oh my gosh, man. And then I then went when I finally turned 21 and just had an absolute blast because I could finally go around and just smoke and drink and like do all that fun stuff. Just kind of get that out of my system before school started. One thing that I found though that I did not know is that mushrooms, like the psychedelic mushrooms, are legal in Las Vegas.
Like what kind?
The psilocybin.
Psilocybin's legal there?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. So you can get like psilocybin gummies on the strip and just pop a few of those while you're walking around.
At an actual store?
Yeah, at like an actual store that also has like vapes and maybe some CBD stuff. Oh yeah, want some psychedelics as well? Yeah, here you go. It's like $20.
That's kind of wild.
Yeah.
I remember I went to Hawaii and I saw a store that was selling the like psilocybin gummies too. But they were like, I don't think it was legal, man. Like, I don't think that store. There were all these like I think weed had just been legalized in Hawaii like the year before or something.
Yeah.
So we were there and there were like all these like brand new like weed stores. They like were just opening, and literally in one of them, like I watched like the health inspectors like walk in to like check it out and everything. Cause like, bro, they were selling some. That was back when Delta 8 was big.
Oh really?
And they had all that weed that was just sprayed with whatever on it.
Gosh,
and you just like would walk in these stores with just like these giant cases of who knows what, bro. Like it was like such just labeled like not even weed, just like labeled with like random things. Like, bro, try this.
Yeah, try this one. It's called Green Alien Nuggets.
Yeah, it's like that. It's Delta 10.6 extra good for, I don't know, tweaking out. And yeah, there was one store that had the shroom stuff, and I think it was legit. Like I'm not like that store. I think like had actual product, but I wasn't sure if it was like. There's no way it's legal in Hawaii.
There can't be a way, man. They're so restrictive.
Yeah, so I think that was like a limited time thing. But that's wild. They have it in Vegas.
Yeah, yeah, they seriously do.
Did you try it?
No, I didn't.
Have you ever tried it?
I have.
Okay.
Yeah, like I haven't had a really intense mushroom trip yet, but like the ones that I have had, I've just kind of felt like really warm. I just kind of want to lay down, look around. Where are my feet? Like that's where it gets to,
It's interesting to see where it's gonna go, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Places are starting to legalize that.
Yeah, and I'm honestly like glad. I mean, in my opinion, like the more things that get legalized, the better it's going to be for everyone because you're eliminating the black markets. Say again?
Yeah, I agree.
Oh yeah,
you're getting rid of that.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting rid of the black markets, and you're making sure that things are done safely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when marijuana was still an illicit substance, you had no way to know where your weed came from. You would get it from a dealer, and they'd say, "Oh, I got this thing from Johnny." You know who Johnny is? Yeah, sure. I don't know who Johnny is. Nowadays, you can buy a pre-roll and know exactly what bud it came from which factory, from like all of these very minute details, and that wouldn't have happened if it was still like a black market. I mean, regulation can make a market go from like really, really like untouchable, don't go there, to okay, well, hey, maybe it's still a good idea, and you can generate revenue, you can like make a whole new industry like blossom out of nowhere. I mean, I really wish that politicians today were more focused on making the people happy rather than just getting reelected.
Dude, I can wish. I was gonna say, it seems like a lot of people were really pro like open market for a while, but it seems like a lot of people were disappointed with how like California and Portland turned out. And for a while, I was kind of agreeing with that. I was like, okay, well, maybe these are examples of what happens when you completely open the market. People can get whatever they want. You're giving out heroin to people that want it. I think Portland was doing that. I know Canada was, but you could like go in and just like an addict can get heroin just to like make sure they don't die from
withdrawal,
which is really insane considering like what the legality for it was 20 years ago.
Yeah, seriously.
And then everything else is legal too,
yeah.
But you had these huge upsurgence in homelessness, and people were saying that, I have been saying and are saying that it really shows what happens when you legalize these things. The problem is these places are the same places that there's two things. A, they have like climates that you can kind of like just be wherever if you're homeless.
Yeah.
Like California,
it's warm everywhere.
Have to hide. You don't have to like have your little tent. Like you go to Seattle, everything is condensed. Like you see these like giant camps.
Yeah.
Because like you said, like you can't be in the rain, just sleeping on the sidewalk.
Yeah, I mean, you die of like hypothermia. I mean, and that's like that. I mean, when you know things are like getting really like cold and everything, when you just don't see any homeless people on the streets in like Spokane or whatever. But I mean, going back to the like legalization thing, Portland and California, I think that what they did was a great experiment, and I feel like now we finally know, hey, this is what happens when you decriminalize/legalize heroin, fentanyl, all these different things.
And they have the highest populations, or not Portland, but California has a huge population.
Oh, yeah.
And every city has a large amount of homeless people.
Oh yeah.
So is it crazy to say that there's just a lot of homeless because there's a lot of people, and those homeless people are everywhere because they just can be everywhere because you can sleep on the sidewalk?
So
in California.
Well, something interesting about California is that California has like the most poverty, like the most people in the slums, but it's also home to the most richest people. I mean, Silicon Valley alone could be its own country with the amount of GDP they put out.
Yeah.
I mean, it is insane.
Like, for real? It could really...
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I believe it.
Silicon Valley makes billions of dollars just in that area alone. One town over, though, it can be slums, people dying of fentanyl on the streets. I mean, it is bad. So because of that dichotomy, that like super rich and super poor, this makes it really difficult for the federal government to actually provide good resources.
Yeah.
Because they're going to see California as, oh, they're a rich state. They don't need as much federal aid as a state like West Virginia or Mississippi. So California gets maybe 90 cents back for every dollar of tax revenue that they give to the federal government, whereas West Virginia will get like $2 back for every dollar they give to the federal government.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense. It's, basic.
Just based on the system, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that is, it totally makes sense where it's like, okay, well, the rich should get taxed a little bit and then you disperse it to people that need it the most. But the one problem is that California is the best and the worst. So how do you effectively give federal aid to them without just giving money to rich people?
Yeah, man.
That's
it's hard.
the problem. That is the problem that California is facing. And some people have even said, just make California its own country. There you go. Yeah, that's like a radical idea, but that's been tossed around a bit. I've thought, how would that actually like affect us, I mean, I know America would still be like probably the number one biggest economy, but like California would be right next to like Italy in terms of GDP alone. And that's just insane to me.
And people blame like so much of it for the government. And I really wonder, not like necessarily like it's state government. And I really wonder what it would be like if you swapped California's government with Texas's government. And if it's really a problem of like leadership, or if it's an issue of just there's a lot of money here. We had the gold rush, we had Silicon Valley, and this is what happens when you have a massive population. This is a country, like it's like you said, even if California became its own country, it'd be like so many other countries and having the same issue of all of the wealth is on one side.
Yep.
And then a lot of poverty on the other side.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. It's just
It's a complicated problem.
Exactly, but that's why I love it, you know? It's a puzzle that never quite ends. It's a question that you can't quite answer correctly. There's only slightly different answers. And those slightly different answers affect different people in different ways. And that's why I love economics. There's no one definite answer.
So from an economic point of view, does opening the market help? Or like, what does opening the market do to economies? What has it done to California's economy, in your opinion?
Yeah, so opening up a lot of those previously illicit markets, like, you know, marijuana, and even going back to like the prohibition when alcohol was illegal, there was a distinct harm on the economy when black markets were around. I mean, in prohibition, crime was rampant. I mean, just look up Al Capone. I mean, he was a monster, but he made a lot of money just by being a black market stud. And he didn't have to pay any taxes because that was all black market money. But when they legalized it again, the government starts making that tax revenue again, and they can then disperse that to the people who need it more, and then the people who just wanted to have marijuana or alcohol or whatever, they can now get it safely. I mean, it's a much better system than just, no, you can't do it, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's just, I know that there's definitely like a lot of different economists that are going to probably get mad at me when I say things like that, because there's so many different externalities that I can't consider. I mean, there's so many different like aspects that you never can quite account for because they're so out there. But then those really out there externalities, those things that can affect the common people, they could have massive effects, and you didn't even factor that in.
And they do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Reality.
And that's why I wanted to major in this, because it's such a fascinating field.
It's a cool major, man.
Yeah. What's your major?
I'm doing business management.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
What brought you to that specifically?
I have a hard time understanding business and kind of how it functions, and I wanted to understand it better because it's so much of our lives, it's so much of the world that we see.
Oh yeah.
Is either directly part of a business or heavily influenced by business.
Yeah. I mean, everything in this room right now had to have been made by some sort of business. I mean, these microphones were made by a certain business. I mean, these computers were made by a certain business. It's literally everywhere.
Yeah.
You have to go into the middle of nowhere to be free from businesses, but I don't want to live in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Preaching, man. Anyways, that's why I'm doing that. What made you want to do economics? Just interest in it?
I gotta say the interest in it, but I had like two great teachers back to back. I was like, principles of microeconomics, fell in love with microeconomics. And I was like, okay, well maybe I can like minor in this. And then I did principles of macroeconomics. And I was like, okay, well.
Oh, this is getting spicy.
Exactly, yeah. I just was like, man, this is so interesting. Everyone's like, oh, this is so boring. I'm like, my boy, you can, in a sense, kind of predict the future. If you understand people well enough, you can kind of like go, well, if people have worked like this in the past, are they going to work like this again? Maybe they will. And then you can ask yourself, okay, well, how is that going to affect price on certain items? How is that going to affect tax revenue? How is that going to affect this and this and this? And you go on this long, like, rabbit hole of questions, and you never find an answer. You just learn. And that is beautiful. You're constantly learning, but you're not done. It is an ongoing cycle. I love that.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
I have one question that I ask everyone on this show.
Shoot.
What is college to you? As like a kid before you came to college, what did you think of it? As an adult after you leave college, what is it gonna like? How is it gonna influence your life? What is it to you now? Where's college kind of What position does it have in your life?
I kind of view it as something of high importance. I mean, I do my best in classes. I'm not someone who tries to skip as many classes as possible. When I was a kid, I grew up around a lot of universities because my dad was as I said previously, a college football coach. So I mean, I've been to like the California Berkeley campus, the Stanford campus, the Boise State University campus, the UW campus. Oh yeah, for anyone listening, this will be funny. I spent 8 years as a UW fan because my dad coached there before I came here.
Trader.
Yeah. But like when I was like seeing all these like massive like athletes on the field, I never really put together that those athletes are in school.
Yeah, I know, right? I still don't put it together.
Yeah, and then you'll like see like the quarterback in the hallways of like Todd Hall or whatever, and just be like, whoa, wait a minute, wait, you're the guy. And he's like, yeah, just like you, man. Come on. I think after college, though, here's what I think college kind of gives you that you can't really get easily anywhere else, is the network.
Yeah.
Just by going to a college, you have access to all of the alumni, all of the organizations, all of the people who have some sort of connection with the college you go to are now in your network.
Yeah.
And that is going to be more powerful than any sort of material you can learn here. And I don't mean that here at WSU. I mean any university, any college. I mean, that network is going to be your bread and butter. I mean, how are you going to make a sale if you're a salesman? Well, you want to have someone who you can contact to get you in touch with the person you want to sell to, and then you can build a rapport that way. Say you want just a higher paying job. Well, hey, maybe, the boss at a rival company is a Coug alumni, and you say, yo, I went to UW, or not UW, I went to WSU as well.
It's coming out, man. I don't know if I trust you.
Just deep down, there's some sparks going on. Sorry, I gotta keep that down. But here's the funny thing, though. Both of my parents went to WSU, and 2 of my grandparents went to WSU. So I am a Coug blood, but I also was a UW fan.
What are you doing at UW, bud? What are you doing here?
They paid the bills, and that's it. It was always rainy there. I much prefer it here in Pullman. Oh my gosh.
It's because God doesn't like UW.
True. Truth, man. 100%.
He sends the sun to his favorite colleges. Although I say that, it's been raining for the last 3 days, so never mind.
Well,
And we lost our game this weekend, so
this is our punishment.
I guess it's somewhere else. Anyways, yeah, you're saying.
Yeah.
The networking is super important.
Yeah, and the skills you learn here are obviously going to be important as well. I mean, I would never know what, like, accounting variances are if I didn't take an accounting class. And those can be important. But the network, the people, is so much more valuable.
Yeah.
If you really think about it, a business needs one thing, and that's people. A business can run without cash. I mean, not well, but I mean, hey, look at like General Motors or whatever. They're not exactly cash rich right now or anything. Or not General Motors, sorry, General Electric. I think they haven't turned a profit in like 15 years, I think.
Really?
Seriously. But they're still a company. So you don't really need cash. But if everyone at GE left, there would be no business. So people are the most important thing in business. And being able to have a great network, especially with a network as intense as the WSU network. I mean, if someone's a Coug alumni, that is their thing. They love that they're a Coug alumni, and I'm the same way. When I graduate, I'm gonna be putting like nice WSU little patch right here, and I'm gonna say, yeah, I graduated from this place. Damn right I did. It was tough. Don't get me wrong. Had to drink a lot just to get through it, but I got through it.
So it's important.
Exactly. What is your answer? I wanna flip the question back on you. What's your answer when it comes to
don't do this?
What is college to you?
College is, man. Someone else did that too. It's the reason I ask it is because it's interesting to me because it's such a complicated like question in my mind. The idea that we have this institution, the world would be fine if we just had companies that hired people, taught you what to do, and you're good to go. And that's it. You could find college used to be just for a small majority of people.
Yeah.
Usually higher in income.
Yep.
And it was more like a fraternity. It was more like a club.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't really know. But it was way smaller than it is now. And it wasn't common. It wasn't a have to do that you went to college. Like it was just like, oh, some people go to college. Like if you came from a good family and everything.
Yeah. If you want to be like the president or something.
If you want to be the president,
you go to college. But I mean, otherwise, man, you can learn all that stuff on the job. Don't even worry about it.
And pretty much, yeah. And that worked. Like that legitimately worked for society. And now we're at this point where college is like you have to have it. It's like integral to a society, and having a big college means a lot. And I asked myself, like, why did presidents have to go to college? What do you get out of it? You get the network. I mean, I get that. But you don't get to network after that? That's not true. There's lots of networking. You don't need college for networking.
Yeah, that's 100% true. I think it just kind of jumpstarts it, you know? Like,
is that all it is, though? It's just this, like, spark? It's just like a
oh no, not
a
it's
fire.
It's not just a spark. I mean, it's the spark in. I mean, it can cause the spark in anyone to find what they want to do.
So that's why people go to college. Like that's why people should go to college.
Yeah, I mean, they can find what they're passionate about. If I didn't go to college, I would not know anything about economics. The only reason I'm into economics is because of the professors I had. So there was a spark of I'm interested, and then the professors that were great got me more intrigued, and then I started doing more research on my own, and I kept building on that knowledge, and I'm still building on that knowledge because I'm still going to classes. I'm still a student, and I'm continuing to enrich myself. I mean, that is the most universal term that every university should strive for: enrichment, enriching your academic brain, your social brain, your everything.
And that's a good reason for people to go too. Like you should think about it that way when you come.
Yes,
or
absolutely.
That's a way to think about it when you come.
Yeah. I think so many people just view college as a place to party and then get a communications degree and leave.
Or just a place to get a degree. Like there's so many people that come to college and they don't make any connections. They just like do the work and they get the degree. But I don't know. It's like, it's interesting to me because it's all of those things. Like all of those things combined into what? What's the like common factor? How does it give you the spark? Like where does it get the resources for that? I mean, the easy answer is, it's just like a accumulation of knowledge. But how does that form? Is it like the brain of society? Like college is just like the
neurons,
the little like, I mean, like you could completely argue that, bro. Like you could say, okay, well then maybe college is like the memory bank of society, right? Like everything that society does, everything that people writes down, everything that people like figure out, where does it get stored? Where does it get like transcribed and continually like thought over and processed? College.
Yeah.
Or else
research universities.
Yeah.
Because that is where you're going to meet the people who have already excelled in their field. And if those people are already excelling in their field and getting paid to research in that field, well, they're probably going to know a lot about that field. So you can go to them and just say, hey, tell me a little bit about this. And they'll go, oh, sit your butt down. I'm going to go on a 3-hour tangent about this subject. And you can learn so much from every professor here. Every student has something that they know, and you can talk to them about that. Every professor knows something, and you can talk to them about it. There is so much knowledge that is all brought together, and that is the power. Like, it's literally what you said. It is like the memory bank of societies. It is where knowledge comes to grow.
Yeah.
That's why I love it, man.
Word lake.
Yeah.
But then, don't you think there's an issue about, like, how it doesn't really... I mean, it does at times, but there's times where it doesn't really transcribe. Like, I feel like there's a disconnect between college and, like, the real world and, like, what's actually happening. Like, you go in here and you learn all these things, and yeah, you see the slides. Yeah, you learn all the graphs. Yeah, you read all the books. But then what happens when you go out and try to use that information? I mean, the thing that's so important about learning on the job is you learn on the job. You get to see people doing the work. You get to go and, like, to get, like in depth. Your body has, like, memory in it, right? So when you do a job with your hands remember how to do things, and, like, they get like knowledge.
Yeah. Muscle memory. Yeah.
Muscle memory. That's what I'm trying to think. Yeah. That's the word. And you don't get, and I think that's just a perfect general description. You don't get muscle memory from college, and muscle memory makes everything work.
Yeah.
So, if you don't get muscle memory from college, and muscle memory is like, you go and, like, you work on your car, knowledge isn't going to be enough to, like, get the job done. And a lot of people do very well just going in and, like, figuring it out just by muscle memory. Just like, this works, this doesn't work. This works, this doesn't work. Trial and error. What does a person that's been to college versus a person that's just going trial and error, but has had experience because they spent 4 years working on it through trial and error? What does the person that went to college have that the other person doesn't, besides networking? Because they have networking.
Of course. I mean, both people will have a very strong network at that point.
I would argue the college person might have a better network.
Probably, yeah. I mean, if you are just in your certain one profession, you might get a great network in that profession. Yeah. But a college network will have professions all across the spectrum.
And it's guaranteed. It's not like...
Absolutely.
Like, yeah. They're almost always going to have a network if they've been to college.
I think what college provides that on-the-job training doesn't is all of the more complicated things.
Like what?
Well, for starters, actually, let me kind of tell you about this one company, Standard Oil. Yeah. So Standard Oil made the CEO the first billionaire. I can't remember his name.
Rockefeller?
Yes, Rockefeller, John D. Rockefeller. He was the world's first billionaire, and by today's standards, he was still the richest American because
Carnegie was by
really?
by 20 million.
Really? I didn't know that. Wow.
He was the second richest, and it's hard to say whether they actually were the richest. Carnegie had 375 million. Yeah. Not when he died. He at his height, that was the most he had. He only had because he donated all of it. So Rockefeller died with more than Carnegie did. Okay. But Carnegie had more. Like, Carnegie made more money than Rockefeller did.
Okay.
And he had like 375 million, which transcribes to. It's hard to say because I don't know. I looked at some inflation counters. Some places say like they were richer than anyone in the world. Well, actually, the richest guy was some African in Somalia. Who was just like some king that had like a. Bro,
yeah, literally.
Isn't that ridiculous?
Yeah, I heard about that guy. Apparently, he was technically the world's first trillionaire.
Yeah.
Technically speaking.
Just because he had so much, like, Africa has so many resources, like...
Yeah.
You just,
I mean,
it's ridiculous.
So I remember that story. He literally caused a local town economy to suffer severe inflation because he was just giving out gold. He was like, "Oh, is that a loaf of bread? You know what? I'll pay an entire gold bar for that. You have a good one."
And it's hilarious because it's not like, oh, it's like a bunch of African like rulers with all this money and then like all like the business magnates we know. It's like literally this one dude and then Carnegie, Rockefeller, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates. Like,
yeah. What happened in that long time span? What?
The one dude figured it out, man. He was alive like, I don't even remember, like 500 years ago or something. Anyways.
Like that. But going back to John D. Rockefeller and Standard Oil. So, John D. Rockefeller was never working with the oil. He was never at the oil rigs and pumping the oil out himself. He wasn't doing any of the manual labor. But you know what he was doing? He was doing what no one else was doing at the time. Focusing on how to make his business mathematically and economically and just as good as it possibly can be by mathematical and like academic standards. And he was a very quiet person too. And whenever he was asked, "Why are you so quiet in like shareholder meetings or like whatever kind of meeting?" And he just said, "An owl is extremely quiet, and they are the most knowledgeable species. Why can't we all be more like those owls?"
Yo.
And it made me realize that college gives you the jumpstart in the complicated mathematical fields. So if you want to be a business manager or if you want to be a finance major, you're going to be working with a lot of those numbers. You need to know how to work with Excel, with business calculators, with all these different complicated mathematical things that you're not really going to get with on-the-job training. What you are going to get with on-the-job training, especially if it's like specialized, you gain job security. Someone who has specialized job security is probably going to be one of the last people to get fired because they're one of the few people with the actual specialized job training.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite things to do as a hobby is mixology. But if you take your mixology skills to one bar, it translates perfectly to another bar.
That's
so
wild,
there's
man.
an interesting, untraditional job security. You can always find a firm that's willing to take you if you're like a bartender, or you always have the security if you have like specialized job training. Like, oh, well, I know how to use this specific program really well for my work, and no one else really knows how to do it as well as me. Well, boom, your job security is there right there. But for college, what college gives you is all of the extremely high-level stuff that everyone in the lower ranks of the company will never even think about.
Yeah. The like managerial.
Exactly, the managerial, the planning, just being able to plan out what's going to happen effectively.
It gives you the language.
Yes, it gives you the language of business.
Or anything.
Exactly. Yeah.
English language, physics language, like language to do mathematics.
Yeah, I'm so focused on like business and everything that I keep forgetting that there are so many different majors.
But like in business is a part of that, like the business language. Yeah. Man.
There's so many different languages that you just are free to learn. I mean, just because I'm a business like major doesn't mean that I can't learn a bit more about chemistry. I can go to like the chemistry building right now and talk to one of the professors about like, hey, what's the deal with chemistry? Like, what's it all about and everything? And they'll give you a complete rundown. And that powerful tool to have any mentor, any professor, basically on demand, willing to tell you about their field is so incredible. That is what college gives you more than anything else. Tools that you can use for the rest of your life.
That's powerful.
Yeah. That's why I'm so sad when people say that college is a waste of time or it's not worth it anymore. Going from like just a straight up mathematical standpoint, a college degree, I've seen certain calculations run like this. A college degree is technically worth over $440,000. And they found that based off of how much more someone makes if they graduate with a degree rather than with just a high school diploma. And they found that over an entire lifetime, the present value of a degree is over $440,000.
Just by itself.
Just by itself. That's it. Just having a degree makes it easier to make money.
And you still get some money even with the college loans, like the expense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like people who refuse to believe that or refuse to understand why college is important are the people who are either trying to take your money and have you enroll in their course on stock trading or whatever, or they just don't get it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who don't get it nowadays, and I think the reason why we hear that so much more is because it's so easy to amplify your voice. You take a video of like a podcast, put like a cool Sigma edit into it, and boom, it can get millions of views, and people in the comment sections will be like, oh, this guy's so true, so accurate, man. Yeah, college is such BS, man, whatever. When in actuality, these other like university haters maybe never have even taken a step into a college classroom. And I hear this so often. Well, what about Steve Jobs? What about Mark Zuckerberg?
Didn't Elon Musk drop out too?
I think he did, yeah. No. Actually, no, he didn't. He got a degree in physics and finance.
Okay. I was thinking about that the other day.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Those guys were already geniuses.
And they all went to they went to Stanford. They went to like high level colleges. It wasn't like they were like they were getting good educations.
Yes.
Before they dropped out.
Absolutely. I mean, and when you drop out from Stanford, it's not like, oh, you're no longer associated. No, you can still say, oh, I went to Stanford. I just dropped out because it was too easy. Just something like that.
Yeah.
Just the fact that a high-level school accepted you probably means that you have a lot more to give.
It probably says more about Stanford that they dropped out than...
Yeah.
They don't even need it anymore.
Yeah, seriously. And there are a few people that can do a lot of great things without a college degree. I'm not going to deny that. But those are exceptions. Those people are absolute exceptions who realized that they were the exceptions when they were already in college.
Yeah. I think that's a good point.
Yeah. So I know I said like this is the first podcast I've ever been on, and that's true. But I did not expect it to be this awesome, like this chill. Because I rarely get to just have a chill conversation with someone just about like whatever the hell gets into our minds, man. I love that.
Man. I love it too. This has been great. This has been a good conversation.
Seriously, man. Yeah.
Check out the channel Ponder Cruise on YouTube to see more episodes like this. Yeah, it's amazing. Oh man. Okay. What do you think has not been... Actually, wait. Before I go into that, why did you get into mixology?
Oh, okay. So, I learned something from like this 50-year-old MILF next door or whatever. She said, you know the quickest way to a girl's heart? You cook. You cook for them. That's all you do. And I was like, okay, I can do that. And so I started cooking, and I fell in love with cooking.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I just fell in love with cooking. I was like, oh, this is so much fun. I love like throwing all these things together, being creative and everything. Do you know what I hate more than anything? Doing the dishes. Those dishes are the worst. Anyone who enjoys cooking will agree with me on this one. Dishes are the worst part of cooking. But with mixology, you get that experience of cooking because you're creating something, and the amount of dishes you do are just a fraction. A shaker, a spoon, a strainer.
It's fun. You get to like rinse it out.
Yeah, that's it. Just
quick.
All right, let's do it again.
Satisfying.
Yes. Oh my gosh, so satisfying. And then I started to learn about the chemistry behind alcohol and beer and spirits and wine, and it is fascinating. There is an entire world of alcohol studying that I just decided to go into over the summer because I was just like, this is really interesting, man. I learned like, okay, well, why is it that certain drinks taste better with certain spirits? And it's because like, oh, well, turns out there's certain bonding chemicals that happen. Like gin and lime juice, they bond together when you shake them up.
Chemically?
Yeah, chemically. They bond together. They literally like connect. Certain chemicals connect to one another, and it releases much more preferable flavors than if you were to just drink gin on its own.
I'm a bartender and I didn't know that.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, well this one's also going to be really cool to you. Beer, right? You've probably poured a lot of beers, right?
Yeah.
but did you know that beer is not carbonated? It's nitrogenated.
Okay.
And 95% of those bubbles leave immediately when you pop the bottle or pop the can or pour the beer.
Yeah.
So it's a little flat, but it's meant to be a little flat. And it needs to be really cold, because if it's warm, then there are certain properties in the beer that get changed and it doesn't taste as well.
You know they like warm beer in Europe? I went to Germany. All their beer is warm. It's all like room temp. Cold beer is an American thing.
I'm never going to Germany.
It's amazing, bro.
Really?
Yeah, I kind of like it. I don't know if we could do it with American like beers.
Yeah,
Like I wouldn't like have a warm Rainier or a warm Bud Light, but the German, whatever they were doing, man, it was working. It's good stuff.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, it's weird.
That is really weird, but I love learning that. Because, like, now, okay, well, there has to be, like, a certain, maybe it's, like, a societal reason. Like, is it just tradition to drink warm beer?
I think it's colder weather over there. Like, you gotta think, like, if you're in the West, then it's gonna go bad, bro. It has to. It can't just be in the sun all day.
Yeah, seriously.
So, I think that's why.
Oh, man.
I think. I don't quote me.
There's just so many different things within just alcohol alone. That's so fascinating.
Yeah. It's cool, man. It's quite an obsession.
Yes.
Like you can really get deep into alcohol. I'm reading this I'm trying to get better at the mixology. I want to learn more about like the chemical. I want to learn like what flavors go well with what.
Yeah.
More than I know already. But it's really fun.
Yeah.
It's really fun to make. You know what's great about it?
What?
It's so easy to mix something and see what you made.
Yeah.
And you can do it like 100 times in the span of
30 minutes?
30 minutes, an hour.
Easy.
You know, when you're cooking, like you were just saying, like literally the same reasoning. It takes, not you make one dish. It takes an hour. And it's still fun. I'm not saying like the creation isn't bad or anything, but like it takes an hour to figure out like one kind of recipe, and like you get to say, okay, well this turned out okay, so next time I'm going to try something different.
Of course, there never is a next time because you find a different recipe.
Yeah, exactly. There's just so much, and like there's just not enough time. But with mixology, it's like you can do whatever. Like you just like try like 3 different drinks and like no time at all, man. And you get to really refine what you like. You get to really refine like what a recipe can taste like in a short amount of time.
Seriously, yeah.
And it's not just like, I think that's a really good stepping stone to like figuring out how to generally create things.
Yeah.
Like seeing that whole process go so quickly, you get the feeling for the process in general, and then you can apply that to things that like take more time. But you already know like how to like
work with the tools.
Yeah, to work with the tools, you know how to like figure out what you like and what you don't like. You figure out like how to refine a process. Yeah. After being able to do it at such a quick pace, you can take it to like, you can take mixology to cooking and go, okay, well now I know obviously it's with food now, but I know like what the process of creation looks like, so I can be more effective with my dishes now.
Yeah.
So it's a cool starting point.
It seriously is. Mixology is just so great because it can itch that creative nerve without being so time consuming.
Yeah.
And like, okay, this is something that I absolutely love about mixology. I feel like I can really make whatever I want and just see how it turns out. There's no real commitment, just like what you were saying. I mean, cooking, it's an hour-long commitment plus the extra 30 minutes that you need to clean the dishes. And you probably aren't going to make it ever again. Or if you do, you're probably just going to make it the exact same way because you probably forgot how it tasted. But with mixology, I mean, you can just think, what kind of flavor do I want? Citrus, dry, bitter? Okay, well, let's do something like sweet, but not super sweet, and a little bit of citrus in there. And that's what I thought of when I made something called a margarita fizz.
Okay.
It was half of a margarita, right? And then a splash of grenadine, and then topped with soda water.
Yo.
And that was like the drink for me for quite a while because it was really good. Like, it just tasted really refreshing. There was a citrus, but it wasn't so strong like so many other drinks where it's just, oh, that's only citrus, or, oh, that's only tequila. No, it's like this nice mixture of both, and it's smooth. And
You can't go wrong with grenadine.
Exactly. Just a little grenadine, that's all you need. And boom, 100 times better.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then like that creative aspect of mixology, where you can just throw stuff into a cup or throw stuff into a shaker and just see what happens so quickly, so easily, and then pour it, take a nice big swig of it.
You're a chemist.
Yeah, yes, it is literal chemistry. I mean, I actually think it was Abraham Lincoln that said all alchemy started in the kitchen.
He's not wrong.
He ain't. I mean, how many different things have happened over the last 100 years in only the world of cooking?
It's been the most.
Exactly.
The most things have happened.
I mean, it wasn't until the 90s where avocados and Brussels sprouts became big. So, avocados became big because of the North American Federal Trade Agreement, I think that's what it's called.
Really?
Yeah, NAFTA. So what happened with what NAFTA was basically, okay, Canada, US, Mexico, free trade. There's no like super special import taxes. There's no like super strong regulations. It's mainly just free trade, however you want to.
Yeah.
And that made it so much easier for Mexico to sell avocados to the US. So nowadays, everyone knows about avocados, but back before NAFTA, avocados were a seasonal thing that were only found in California and Florida.
Whoa.
Now they're everywhere. You can go to Walmart right now in Pullman, where there has never been an avocado grown ever, and you can still buy one in Walmart.
Yeah.
And that is what NAFTA did. That was
Thank God
really
for NAFTA.
Yeah. I mean, there has been also a lot of controversy with NAFTA, but overall, I feel like it's done more good than harm. I mean, it's been a benefit for everyone, but really harmful to a few people. Because like if someone owns like a shoe factory here in America, well, labor is much cheaper in Mexico. Well, I'll just shut down my factory in America, bring everything over to Mexico, and then just import everything. The problem is that harms the towns where those factories are in.
Yeah.
So that is the main problem with NAFTA, where it was like, okay, well, it is a kind of a general benefit for everyone, but it can be really harmful and really painful for the few towns that would really struggle with free trade. And what was it that I was talking about before the avocados?
The effect of trade.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll just keep talking about NAFTA.
What were we talking about? No, we were
well, there was Margarita Fizz, and then talking about. I swear, this is how you know if you're in a good conversation or not. When you just forget the topics you were just talking about because you just got onto a new topic that was so interesting. That's how you know you're in a great conversation, man.
I'm with it.
Hell yeah, man! Cheers! Cheers with our plastic Dasani.
Yeah, this is Dasani, man. Dude, do you think that? Have you heard the conspiracy that Dasani makes you thirsty?
Yes, and I 100% believe it.
I believe it.
Look at the ingredients list. Look, purified water, magnesium sulfate, potassium chloride, salt.
Minerals added for taste.
For taste, Dasani?
Bro, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't want to get Dasani for this. But so I was going out of my way to like not get Dasani, and then I went to Carlita's and I was like, okay, I need to get water for this. And I was looking at their case, and normally Dasani's got just like the Dasani symbol on it, man.
Yeah.
I was like, but I saw these bottles have like some new design that they came up with like last week, because I've never seen this. But it's got just like 100%, and the Dasani's like super small. I wonder why. And so I went up and I saw that, and I was like, oh, that looks new. I'll try that. Dasani wins again.
Okay, of all the bottled waters you've had, obviously, Dasani, trash, garbage, don't drink it. Meanwhile, I'm going to take a sip. But do you have a personal favorite?
It's powering this podcast right now. So
it really is. That and this bottle of Coca-Cola I have.
My favorite is Arrowhead's pretty good. I used to like to get those like giant Arrowhead like gallon water jugs.
Yeah,
I think that you could never go wrong with those. I could never complain about those.
that could last you like weeks, man.
I feel like I either drink Dasani or Smart Water.
You wanna know who owns Smart Water?
Dasani.
Yep, the Coca-Cola company. Yeah,
Which I'm not surprised by because I don't feel like I'm that much like those are just the two that I see. I'm not a huge fan of Smart Water.
I mean, I'm pretty sure like Pullman is a pretty like Coca-Cola heavy town, so I mean, all the Coca-Cola products are gonna be what you see the most, you know.
Man, I want to see a Pepsi town.
Oh, I've seen a few Pepsi towns, man.
I bet they're different. I bet the people are different.
They are. Oh, they so are. They're weird, man.
Yeah, like going back to like dishes and stuff.
Yeah.
How do you think that like different foods, or do you think that eating like consumption of different foods changes the way that people work? Which obviously I don't think it applies that much anymore because we're all eating the same stuff. Like if you go to Europe, you probably see some Mexican restaurants.
Yeah. But like the region specific kind of things.
Like if people are eating like jalapenos all day, like there's a different sense happening.
Definitely.
Consistently, and versus someone that's just eating bread, like they're not like that must change you, right?
I want to say yes. No. I mean, I remember hearing about this one kid who, by age 17, was only eating white bread, sour cream and onion, Pringles, and milk.
Let's go.
That's it. Those were his only 3 things.
Meal of champions. That's all you need, guys.
He was eating that every day, and only that every day. And he eventually had to be taken to the hospital for like nutrition deficiency.
What?
Yeah, I thought Pringles had all of the things that you needed, but like...
I thought we had the new college diet, man.
Man, I think my favorite college diet has to be a Monster Energy and a Tylenol for breakfast, and that's it. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, Jack, why is that so specific? Monster Energy and a Tylenol. Well, I'll tell you, because that's what I've done. I got some early classes, so I'll just be like, jeez, I've got a headache, I'm not feeling good, but I gotta wake up. Just soda, Tylenol, okay, I'm gone.
Does the Coca-Cola have protein?
I don't think so. I mean, yeah, protein 0 grams, nah.
Dude, the Monsters have like 2 grams of protein.
They do?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
What are they putting in there?
I don't know, bro.
It just tastes like battery acid.
It's legit breakfast, man. Don't complain. Don't think about it. I don't eat eggs when I have Monster.
Oh my gosh, okay. I heard this one story about Guinness, the beer company. Apparently, for like a while of their existence, they only used one vat to create all of their Guinness. And at one point, they cleaned it. And there were a lot of dead rats at the bottom of the vat. And so, of course, they cleaned it. They were like, okay, well, we got all the garbage, gross stuff out. And then they put the beer back in. People started to complain. They said, hey, why's the taste different? Did you take out an ingredient, man? This is terrible now. This Guinness company's up. Alright, well, can't tell them the real reason, but we are going to throw fish guts back into the vat. And the complaints ceased.
And they still do it today?
I don't know if they still do it today, but I really hope they do, because that would justify my dislike of Guinness.
They definitely still do it today.
Anyone who's watching this, look it up. Does Guinness still use fish guts in their drinks?
Home experiment. Make Guinness. I don't even know how you do it. Never mind. Put fish guts in your Guinness and see if it tastes different.
Start putting fish guts in your beer, man. Let's just see what happens.
Let us know in the comments how that worked out. Dude, have you ever... Oh, we're going back to what I was saying. Yeah, so the kid had to go to the hospital.
Yeah, so he had like nutritional deficiency, so I feel like you need to have everyone needs a certain amount of nutrients, like a certain amount of protein, a certain amount of carbs, a certain amount of like whatever for your specific body.
Yeah.
And if you don't get that, you're probably gonna die. But I feel like there's also the extra aspect of flavors. And I mean, flavor isn't technically necessary when it comes to food. I mean, you can get all the necessary nutrients without ever tasting your food, right?
Yeah.
But taste makes food enjoyable.
Yeah.
And I feel like taste and what your region or like where you're from can kind of shape the way you kind of view food. You know?
Yeah. Okay.
Like up here, berries are huge. You know, there are berries everywhere. So huckleberry and a lot of like citrusy, like deep citrusy kind of flavors are probably going to be something that you're really used to. And that can kind of change your outlook on different citrus foods. Where it's like, oh, well, this is like green apple. It's too sour maybe for me. But someone who grew up in a much more like, I guess, sour tart area, like let's say Key West with their key lime pies, they'd probably view light citruses as like a better sort of flavor, you know. And I remember hearing about this study that went into depth with how there's such a different way the Western world views food rather than the Eastern and Asian world. So in Europe and in America, we love complementing flavors. Like, we love having milk and creams with meat. Those are very complementary. They're high in fat. They go well together. Whereas with Asian countries, they are much more focused on contrasting the flavors. They're much more focused on, like, okay, sweet and spicy, sweet and sour. How many different contrasting flavors can we put into the same dish to really, like, liven everything up? And that can kind of change your whole body dynamic. You know, I mean, if I go to like Bangladesh or something and get some street food, I might feel sick because my gut microbes are still like not used to that. I mean, like my stomach would be like, what is this? Where are we? This isn't my special fried chicken food. No, I mean, I want that. But if you're in Bangladesh, I mean, the normal food is going to be completely different, and that can like change the way an entire culture, an entire region views food. I mean, that, like every single part of anything can have an entire rabbit hole of knowledge that you can dive down into.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's a miracle.
That's crazy. Like I didn't think about how you would get sick if like you tried to eat their food.
Oh yeah. So your gut, I mean, your stomach has all of these special microbes in it that are used to certain flavors. That are used to certain things. So if you are used to like, you know, an American diet with, you know, certain things that are consistent in American foods like soy, corn, or whatever. If you go to a place that doesn't really specialize in those things, your stomach won't know how to react to it for at least maybe the first few days. And then later on, it'll start realizing, oh, wait a minute. Okay, wait, I can kind of recognize this now.
Does the gut take like the food and make the same kind of energy with it? It like builds the same muscles and the same kind of bones, or do you think different foods develop different cells? I guess would be the best way to put it.
I don't think the food is what causes that.
Because you have to get all the same vitamins, so it doesn't change.
Yeah, I mean, that's not what... You know what I think changes that? What region you're in specifically. Here in, like, Pullman specifically, there's a lot of hills, right? And I fall into the personal belief that there are more uphills than downhills here in Pullman. I don't know how the architect of the school did it, but bravo. You've made me hate you for the rest of your life. But you've heard the joke that, like, you get cougar calves, right?
Yeah.
Well, that is your body changing based off of its location and region. A place that is very mountainous and very hilly, you're probably going to be building all of your leg muscles. You're probably going to require a bit more protein to keep that growth happening. So your body will say, well, this is what we need considering our current circumstances. Like, that's how I kind of look at it. Maybe,
wild.
Yeah, like everything is kind of like interacting with one another. Like,
Yeah.
Like, the food can interact with you and how well you perform, and then your body can be reacting to the environment. And like, I don't even like know all of the specifics of it. That's just how incredible the human body is. There's so much you can do with it. And even doctors that have been in the profession for 50 years will still learn new things every now and then, just because there are constantly new things being learned about, being researched on. A lot of which are in universities. So I go to university.
Given like that line of thinking, your body changes depending on what environment you're in. So you could change a lot about yourself just by going somewhere else.
Oh yeah. Maybe not like your skin color
And
or
you
anything.
Well, you get tan.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, you do get tan. I'm a pasty white guy, so I
Sarah
like
Pullman. We're watching.
I've had like this pale skin my entire life, and I swear I cook like a piece of bacon in the sun.
We
man.
in Paste County, brother.
Bro, this is my home. This is Paste County. I am the pastiest of them all. I've been compared to sheets of paper before. My girlfriend, she's a bit tanner than me, but I swear we put our arms next to each other like this, and she looks African. I mean, it is nuts how pasty my skin is.
I'm dead.
But
That's a good idea. You could change
yeah,
your anatomy almost.
yeah.
Just and customize it too. You could say, I'm gonna go to Illinois and not have any anatomy.
Yeah. Chicago, Illinois.
Or you could say, I'm gonna get buff, so I'm gonna go to the mountains, Switzerland or something.
Yeah. I feel like that takes a long time, though. Like, if you just go somewhere for, like, a week, you're probably not going to change that drastically. But if you're in a place for years and years and years, you're going to change, man. You're so going to change.
Would you rather have that change? Like, have, like, a really adapted body to a certain place? Or would you rather have, like, travel a lot and, like, kind of adapt yourself to a lot of different environments, but not be super good in one?
I fall under the belief that a jack of all trades is better than a master of one.
Okay.
Because when you're a jack of all trades, you can sort of figure out your way, and your body can do kind of the same thing. It can figure out its way through every environment that you're in.
Yeah, adaptable.
If you're hyper-focused on one specific thing, hey, maybe your body really excels in this, but if you want to go anywhere else, you might be held back. And I feel like having that ability to sort of go wherever and be able to adapt sort of on the fly just for that location is going to be so much better, especially with how global our world is now. I mean, just like 300-400 years ago, everything was very region specific. I mean, before the modern ideas of economics started, everything was, castles and barricades, and the idea was just, okay, I take from the other town. I take from the other country or whatever. There's no trading, it's just taking. There's a winner and a loser. But nowadays, there's winners and winners because of trade. The people who give the money are getting something that, hey, maybe their economy doesn't do well with. And the people who receive the money is receiving money, which is awesome. So we live in such a global economy and such a global world now that I feel like having the ability to travel and the ability to go wherever and still be, well-functioning, not constantly drowsy or whatever, I feel like that is so much more important.
I'm sold.
Sweet, you want to travel to Bangladesh with me?
Let's go.
Let's
Are you
do
going
it.
to Bangladesh?
Yeah!
What are you doing in Bangladesh?
I'm gonna party.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And every frat guy watching this was just like, yeah, Jack, yeah, party man.
Do you you were doing acting for a while, right?
Yep. Oh yeah, 12 years.
So why did you go from acting to or are you still gonna stay in acting?
Oh, I'm still gonna stay in acting.
Okay.
It's just the way I used to do it. I viewed
Jack
it as
of all trades.
Say again.
Jack of all trades.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go. I see you.
He gets me. But I like I love acting. I think that it is truly like one of my favorite things to do. I mean, I flourish in it. I get really deep into the characters that I play, and I mean, I don't want to brag, but like, I even won a statewide award for my performance in a high school play.
No way.
Seriously, it was the Fifth Avenue Theater statewide awards for high schools all across the state, and I was in the same list as people from Lewis and Clark that spend like 20% of their budget on the theater program. The high school that I went to spent negative percentage on their theater program. Like we were very like just trying to make it by with our productions, but I still won. And it felt so incredible to know that people who are professionals have seen me and said, "You're good at this." And in fact, we're giving you this to prove it. Out of everyone in this state, you have earned this award because you did so good. And that really clued me into just how much I love it. I mean, before that, I already knew I loved it, but that made me realize how much acting means to me. And I've taken a bit of a break just to focus on school, but I would drop everything and do a play if I could. If I could get like an audition, man, I would totally do it, because it is worth it. It is worth the sweat. It is worth the tears. It is worth the hardships. And I know it sounds like, well, acting can't be that hard. Oh, just you wait. Just you wait.
I said that.
There's so many people. Oh my god. My dad, he was in one play at his high school, Fiddler on the Roof. But he did it because it was kind of a challenge for like a bunch of these football players to do. Like they were all going to join the theater program for one production just to prove that football was more difficult. But the more they went into it and the more they learned, they realized, holy crap, this is difficult. Especially if it's musical theater, when you're doing acting, singing, and dancing. I mean, that is like, I mean, I've read that like dancing is the exercise that burns the most calories.
Really?
Oh yeah. Yeah, just because of the amount of movement you're doing with all the different aspects of your body. You're not just focusing on like one part of your body. No, everything moves when you dance. So everything needs the energy, and everything uses energy in your body. So that's why dancing is so taxing, because it is extremely energy intensive. And when they were doing that, when my dad and his crew were doing Fiddler on the Roof, they were like, holy crap, this is difficult. This is not easy. I gotta memorize lines, I gotta memorize positions, I gotta memorize like movements. There's so many different aspects. But it feels so good when you get it. And you're in the scene with your partner, and I'm the kind of actor who focuses on building the other person up. If I can make the other person in the scene look good, I know I'm going to look good just by that alone. So it is so amazing watching the other person and yourself have this incredible conversation that's both scripted yet so real. When you get to the point of your career where you can memorize lines and say them in such a way that it doesn't sound scripted. That's what the best actors are able to do.
You make it sound, well, it's hard to say how you actually do that, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, everyone is so different when it comes to that. The way I do it is I just read my lines over and over and over again, and I think, what is it that I am saying with each line? Or what is it that I am doing with each line? What is it that I'm responding to? What is it that I need to tell the audience? Because every line should be something the audience needs to hear, right? I mean, otherwise, why would you have that in the first place? So, being able to learn every little minute detail of your character and know why they're saying something and how they would say it and what they're saying means for the next scene or the scene after or whatever. That is what I kind of focus on.
Okay, yeah. And
I feel like if more actors more like amateur actors were focused on that, they would improve their acting ability tenfold. Because so many actors are focused on the really minute things like, well, how does my character blink? Like, no. It's the lines. I mean, the character was written by someone, and it is your job to portray that to the best of your ability. You are simply the paint that gets painted on the canvas.
I like that. Where do you think acting came from? When do you know when the first acting started?
I don't know when it, like, first began, but I know that the Greeks were the first that really, like, pioneered it.
Okay.
So, in ancient Greece, they were a pretty rich country. And the richer the country is, the more the citizens can focus on art. Because art is not a necessary thing like farming is, you know? So the ancient Greeks, being so rich, they were able to learn more about the stage and storytelling and all these different things. So you have different stories like the Odyssey that's still taught in schools to this day, but it all goes back to like the ancient Greeks because they were the first pioneers of theater and acting. There, of course, may be some societies before it that I just don't know about, but the one that I know of that really pioneered it was the ancient Greeks. In fact, they were so advanced that their biggest, most famous stage is perfectly sound coordinated.
Really?
Seriously. So
which one is that?
I can't remember the name of it, but like I'm pretty sure if you looked up,
amphitheater?
I think it was the amphitheater, yeah.
Okay.
But what's so fascinating is they didn't have microphones like we do. They didn't have any way to project other than their voice and the architecture around them to magnify their voice. They somehow perfectly did it so wherever you're sitting, you can hear the actors on stage. And that is mind-boggling because it took us years to learn just how light works on stage and how like having two lights go from this way and this way looks better than just one light shining on you like this. So the fact that the ancient Greeks were able to correctly know how sound works, and even to this day, the theater is still sound engineered beautifully. That is just incredible. I mean, that is like that is something that I feel like people kind of overlook when it comes to the ancient Greeks, just how incredible their art was.
That's a conspiracy.
It's a conspiracy. Is this the Alex
Aliens,
Jones
man.
podcast?
Aliens. That's crazy. It's crazy how much societies lose.
Yeah.
Just for periods of time.
Yeah.
Okay, so ancient Greeks started it. Now we're here.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's so important to have acting? Because it's not necessary. It's a form. You know what? I mean, it's a form of art, but it's such a crazy form of art. Like, it's not something you would think of. Like, I think painting is more intuitive than acting is.
Yep. It definitely is.
Even singing.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna change the sound of my voice to create like a certain pattern that you listen to. But to talk about acting, I'm going to copy something so well
that people think it's me.
Millions of people are gonna come and just sit for hours just to watch you. I mean, it had to start from copying, right? Like, it had to start.
Yeah.
People were like
Imitation. Yep.
like
Amanda
Amanda threw this ball at me just like this. You know,
Yeah.
they'd like react like something that happened, but
I think.
I guess maybe the Greeks were the first to figure out you could make like new things.
Yeah.
Make characters. Like,
Yeah.
where does a character come from, man? It's so ridiculous.
I feel like originally characters, and this is kind of going back to ancient Greece specifically, but the ancient Greeks, their mythology with like, you know, Zeus, Poseidon, Hades, you know, like all those gods and everything, they portrayed certain aspects of life.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons was because, well, they weren't scientifically advanced enough to know why thunder happened or why rain happened, but they knew how to characterize it. They understood that, well, death is something that takes and takes and takes. It doesn't give, it just takes.
Yeah.
So they made Hades a character who takes and takes and takes. If you look at the story of Persephone, Hades kidnapped her. And in a sense, that's what death does. It kidnaps you from this world. And being able to characterize that is the real powerful tool that acting gives you. I don't know if you've seen the movie No Country for Old Men.
I love it.
So Anton Chigurh, he has been cited as the most accurate portrayal of a sociopath in cinematic history. So being able to have a perfect representation of what a sociopath is like can tell people who maybe don't want to read the textbooks or don't want to do the extra research into the whole psychology of it. They can watch the film and go, oh, this is how someone would think and work if they had these sort of feelings and these ideas in their head.
Yeah.
And the same thing can be said for so many like other movies that have had such a great impact on like society. I mean, a great example is Inside Out. I kid you not, I have met so many counselors who have said to me, Inside Out has been the best tool for teaching kids how to explain their emotions. The counselor would say, who do you think is controlling your brain right now? Is it fear? Is it happiness? Is it anger? Is it disgust? Is it disgust? What is it? And the kid is able to go, oh, well, I remember those characters from Inside Out. If I know those characters, well, I feel like fear is controlling me right now. And then they can enunciate and tell their counselor what it is that they're feeling. And then here's another great example. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, the newest Puss in Boots movie that came out. They made it a perfectly accurate portrayal of an anxiety attack. The scene where they're in the land of the dark forest and Puss turns around and sees death and he runs away and has like a fit of just pure anxiety. That has been like said to be a perfect portrayal of what a true anxiety attack is. And it also had a character, little Perito, the dog, who came up and was like, "What's wrong? Can I help you?" But instead of the writers doing what they normally do, which is, oh, the dog will then lick his face and then he'll feel all better. No. Instead, what the writers did is they realized that wouldn't make sense for someone going through an anxiety attack. So instead, they just had the dog lay on Puss in Boots' stomach, and Puss in Boots was able to pet him and calm down, just like a real anxiety attack. So being able to visually portray certain aspects of our life that we don't know how to say ourselves, that is the true benefit that acting has provided for so many people. I mean, that's just in my opinion. I also think that just watching Leonardo DiCaprio in Wolf of Wall Street is just hilarious and amazing. So I say there's value in that too.
You do more of that.
Yeah.
What's your favorite performance? What do you think is like or maybe not your favorite, but just like a really notable performance?
Yeah. I do have some gripes with this person, but Marlon Brando in The Godfather. I feel like he...
In the first one?
The first
one,
yeah. Yep. He really portrayed well what authority is and what it means to be a crime boss. Especially during the time when the mob had such a powerful control over America. Being able to portray that idea of this is what a godfather, this is what someone who is a high-ranking person in a mob family is like, is really, really cool. And Brando did it so well. I mean, he portrayed Vito Corleone as this authoritative, vicious but not vengeful genius who worked his way to the top, and seeing that it's just so incredible.
And you don't see any. I mean, you see it in the second movie, right?
Yeah. So Brando wasn't in the second movie. His character was replaced by Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
Because the second one was both a prequel and a sequel.
Right.
But
you don't, in the first movie, like, he's the boss. You don't see any of, like, the background, but you know.
Exactly. Yeah, you know
Just
he had to go through hardships. He had to kill his way to the top. He had to deal his way to the top. He is the guy that gets contracts signed. Why? Because if you don't, I'm going to blow your brains out. And it was that vicious mentality that got him to the top. And then seeing that translate into his son, Michael, was even better, because originally Michael wanted nothing to do with the family. Then by the end of it, he's killed every single other mob boss and settled all debts. And watching that transition of Vito Corleone unknowingly almost passing off the torch to Michael was so incredible. And then they perfectly, just phenomenally continued the story with the second one. They said, okay, well, now he is the Godfather. What is Michael like as a Godfather? And then seeing Al Pacino just give this incredible performance of just a vicious, cutthroat mob boss was so incredible.
It was really good.
Yes.
I watched it recently. It was a really good movie.
Gosh, wasn't it? I mean,
Al Pacino's. Can't go wrong with him.
You can't, man. You can't. I mean, he's one of those actors that really just gets it.
Yeah.
And when I say he gets it, I mean he understands acting. He understands what a good performance is, and he knows how to give it properly.
Yeah.
And he knows how to make the lines he says powerful, be it through hand movements or through just little things that he does. Like, I remember in the one scene in The Godfather when he was talking, The Godfather Part 2, when he was talking to the politician he was bribing, he kind of just flicking a cigarette, looking away, and he said, "You can make fun of me, but don't make fun of my family." And as he said that, he snaps on and locks eyes with the politician. You see him do that. And that little movement tells you a lot about Michael. He doesn't care if you make fun of him, but if you go after his family, that's where trouble begins.
Incredible.
All from one
Incredible
movement.
Performance.
Yes. And hearing people say that acting is just the art of lying, I disagree entirely. I don't think it's the art of lying.
Yeah, I disagree with that too.
Yeah, I don't think it's the art of lying or of just copying.
You have to, like, be yourself, but somehow, like, you have to use yourself to convey something else that's not you.
Yes.
But you have to do it, like, if you just try to straight copy, like, what they did, it wouldn't come off. Like, you have to, like, the best actors, you seem to use their own flair to make it work.
So I was in this one acting class for commercials, right? And the professor and the teacher said, listen, when it comes to commercials, you don't want to wear hats. And that was just one thing that she told us all. Hats, they're not good, messes up the lighting and everything. And I thought, all right, well, I'll avoid hats for this class, I guess. Then she hands us all a script for a commercial that we're all going to film ourselves as kind of like the final project, you know?
Yeah.
And I was reading it and I realized I need a cowboy hat for this. Yep, I need it. So I went to the professor and I said, listen, I know you said no hats. I know you did, but just hear me out on this one. Hear me out. I've read the script and I need a cowboy hat. Just let me do it. Just let me do it. And if you don't like it, I'll take it off and throw it in the garbage and never think about it again. Deal? She was like, fine. Guess who was right? This guy. She loved it. She was like, you know what? That cowboy hat was necessary. So those little flares, that ability to read a script and go, you know what this needs? This. That is really powerful and really fun. And it's probably one of the favorite things that I do in acting. Being able to read a character and go, you know what? I want this character to do this or this or this. That is where you go into like the nitty gritty of acting. And I just, oh man, I can go on for hours about it.
Yeah, it's really cool. I always had fun acting. I was never good at it, but I always did the best acting like when I wasn't thinking about it.
Yeah.
Just in high school though. I just did like high school. I had a high school. I think I had 2 high school acting classes, just like the theater classes.
Yeah.
And I had a fun time just doing the little group projects, but
yeah. What were you in like any productions for your high school?
No.
No? Dang, man. Should have done. I feel like you could probably fit quite a few characters, you know?
Maybe.
I mean, like, I feel like everyone has, you know, a certain set of, like, characters that they're able to be.
Yeah. Okay. Wait, what do you mean by that? Like, do you think that's more like a personality thing, or do you think that's more like a just...
I think it's part personality, part ability.
Ability.
Yeah. I remember reading a little article where Bruce Willis said to a director, I've been playing Bruce Willis for 14 years. You don't have to tell me what to do. So he's really good at playing Bruce Willis, right? Leonardo DiCaprio, though, can play so many different characters.
Yeah, it's completely true.
Yeah. I mean, it's a spectrum of an actor's abilities. What is it that this actor can do that another actor can't?
Look at Schwarzenegger.
Yeah! I mean, he's done so much stuff. Holy crap. I mean, you look at his earlier work and it's just action, but then you look at all of his other stuff and it's like, what? Wait a minute, this guy's done a lot.
Just looking badass with great one-liners. That's all you need. Oh, that's all he needs.
God, I wish I looked as good as him, man.
I'm sure you make up with other abilities, though. I mean, I see what you're saying. It's like a ability.
Yeah.
What are you able to do?
Exactly. Like, I find that there are certain things that actors can really specialize in. Like Tom Hanks really specializes in the kind person that everyone loves. Look at like Forrest Gump or like Woody from Toy Story. You know, I mean, those are all characters that everyone can kind of gravitate around and love. Whereas, I'm just going to bring up DiCaprio again. Leonardo DiCaprio, he could be a hero in one movie, like let's say Shutter Island, where he was trying to solve a mystery, only to turn out that he was in an infirmary all along. And then in another movie, he can be a racist villain in Django Unchained, where he's saying the N-word like 30 times a minute. And then in another movie, he can be the Great Gatsby, where he's a party-loving, kind of chill drinker, you know. That is such a wide spectrum. I don't think even I have the capabilities of that. I mean, that is truly phenomenal.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Did you see Basketball Diaries?
No, I haven't.
You should check it out.
When did that one come out?
It was, I think it's DiCaprio's first movie.
Holy smokes.
I'm gonna look that up. You know what? We're fact checking now, guys. From now on, I'm gonna fact check everything I say.
Unlike me, I do not fact check anything I say.
He did it when he was like 16.
Yeah, he started young.
That is a good movie. You should check it out. Let's see, DiCaprio's first movie. Yeah, man. It's true though. Some are like really good at just like being themselves, and like that's kind of their best. They can just go in, be themselves, and it's a great movie every time.
Absolutely. Just look at Dwayne Johnson.
And then you have the ones that can really just disappear into the role. I've heard like oh man, the guy that did American Psycho.
Oh, Bale.
Christian Bale.
Yep.
He did Vice. That's Dick Cheney. Didn't even know. The main character.
Yeah.
10 years later, no idea.
The amount of like things he does to his body, like,
and it's not just his body. It's like all of it. Like he changes his voice. He changes like the way he behaves. It's like unrecognizable.
And it's all
different person.
It's like it's real to him. you know? Like if he needs to be like a bigger character, he puts on the weight, and he actually has like a big stomach. Like in American Hustle, I think that's what it was called. He had a massive gut.
Really?
That was real. That was a real gut.
Yeah.
He just did that himself because that is just the truest thing you can do as an actor, is really put yourself into those positions. And then, you know, he had a movie like right after that where he had to be a patient who has been extremely malnourished, so he had to lose like all of that weight and even lost more, so he looked just like skin and bones. And then he does The Dark Knight, where he's a jacked rip billionaire and he works his butt off to become a massive, like a huge strong guy. I mean, he does so much just for all of his films.
It's crazy, and it really shows dedication to the art.
Yeah.
That is a top tier artist right there.
I remember I've died on stage quite a few times, but I've also been like slapped and punched on stage quite a bit, and this is not something that should be expected of every actor, but my personal view is that the best performances are real. The more real it is, the better it is. So whenever I would get like slapped in the face or whatever, I would tell the actors, slap me in the face, hey, do it for real.
Yeah.
It's alright. I do not care about the repercussions. You can slap me as hard as you can, break my jaw. I don't care. It's about the performance. The performance is what matters most. The show must go on.
What was the hardest performance you've done?
Oh, jeez. I think the hardest performance I've done was probably Thénardier in Les Mis.
You did Les Mis, Rob?
Yeah, I did
No way.
it. I did it for just like a little like camp where like we did the entire like play. We got it all set up, did all the lines, all the memorization, all that within 2 weeks, and then had like 3 or 4 performances. But that play is so emotional, so tear-jerking. I mean, just from our performance with amateur actors who are just doing it at a camp, that play still brought tears to people's eyes. And Les Mis has so many incredible, powerful messages in it. And I feel like I probably could have been one of the, you know, serious characters or one of the romantic interests, but I realized, you know what? I'm the comedian here. And so I went with the funny role. I auditioned for Thénardier, the innkeeper, who is just a hoot and a holler, man.
Hey, that was my favorite role.
Yeah! I mean, he was so funny, and he just comes back every now and then, and the audience is just like, oh, jeez, here he is again. But what's he gonna do? What's he gonna do this time? What's he gonna do? Oh, I hate him so much. But what's he gonna do? What's he gonna do? And that was so much fun, just being this absolutely like terrible person who just didn't care about anything else but himself, and I was so cowardly too, and just being able to portray all that and make people laugh. Oh my gosh, making people laugh is my favorite thing, especially when you're on stage and you're allowed to, you know, kind of do whatever the heck you kind of want to while doing like the blocking and everything. When I was in Much Ado About Nothing, I played Benedict, who was a sexist, cocky asshole. Or a-hole, sorry. I gotta cut that out of my language, man.
I don't think that one matters.
Okay, cool.
You're good, man.
But that character was so funny, and I made him hilarious. I was like, at one point I hide behind a tree that's like a set piece, and I just realized, you know what would be really funny? I pick up the tree. It was like a cardboard tree, and I just walked forward with it, put it back down, and then peeked out behind it. Whole audience roaring with laughter. And seeing that, hearing that, being on stage, listening to people that I can't see because the lights are so bright, I can't see, but I'm hearing them laugh. I'm entertaining. I'm making people happy. I'm doing what I love and people are enjoying it. And that is why I love acting so much. With finance and economics, you may get, like a news article about you. Maybe you win like, a little award at the university you went to for being such great alumni. But when it comes to acting, you visibly see and visibly feel what the audience is thinking. And they'll tell you, if you are funny, they'll laugh. If you are a heartthrob, people will tell you afterwards, oh my gosh, you were so amazing. If you are someone who is supposed to cause the audience to cry and they are sobbing, you know you're doing a good job then.
And you get to see it in real time. You get to look out at the audience and see them crying and
Yes.
see them laughing. And yeah, the emotional connection is intense, I'm sure.
Yes, absolutely. That connection you have to the audience where it's like, you know what, I'm here on stage and I'm giving my best performance, and they in turn respond with what actors crave the most, which is the attention. The knowledge that people are watching you and having a good time is something that I crave. And that's why I still love theater and I still love film, just because I know this is like I'm doing what I love, and I know people like it when I do this.
Once you find what you love, you have your direction, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, man.
Once you have your direction, you gotta stick with it.
Yeah.
You gotta be an actor, bro.
I
think you'd excel.
Yeah. I was planning on actually like moving to LA and everything and actually trying my hand in like the professional world, but I realized that I don't need to do that if I just want to act. I don't need to move to LA unless I want to make that my full-time profession. And even then, most actors down there are just waiters. Like, that's it. They're just waiters, bartenders, whatever, just trying to make it by, who occasionally get a commercial gig, maybe. And I just realized I would rather do something where I can be seen for how good my work is, rather than, well, that guy was the director's friend, so he's going to get the lead role. I might get an extra role if they're willing to accept me.
Keep it raw, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
So yeah, I definitely have been looking more into like just indie projects and like local theater things. I mean, that's what I feel like those people are much more in it for the performances rather than the money.
Are you gonna do a lot over the summer?
I'm gonna try to, man.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm gonna try and do as many as I can. I love doing it over the summer because it gives me something to do and I have all the time to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. I mean, I hope you find some stuff, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I gotta ask you, so
wait, I gotta say I was wrong. Yeah. Basketball Diaries was not Leonardo DiCaprio's first movie.
Thank God we fact checked.
I think it was Critters 3. He had so many movies, it was so wrong. I was sitting here looking for like 5 minutes. Yes. But what were you asking?
So obviously business management, you're doing that. What is it? What is the other part of you? Like, what is it? Is it like podcasting, or is it something else? That
you got me. It's podcasting. This is my life.
Why though? Why podcasting specifically?
I'm trying to figure out what I really want to do. I'm doing a couple things. I mean, I'm doing business, learning about that, doing podcasting. You know, really why I want to do this is the reason, you talk about not having a lot of conversations with people nowadays.
Yeah.
Because phones are very prevalent. And I really like that. So I enjoy having conversations with people, and I get to do that once a week.
Yeah.
It's a good time. I get to learn a lot, and I think it's really important for people to hear this.
Absolutely.
Like, I love podcasts. I listen to Joe Rogan, I listen to Joey Diaz, I listen to Theo Vaughn, and like I found my favorite podcasts aren't the ones I learn from. Like, we spend especially I like nowadays, it's so easy to just go on YouTube and like learn like a million new things that I just don't remember, and it gets kind of old after a while.
Go down like a Vsauce rabbit hole.
Yeah. And there's a lot of podcasts that are just about learning things, like here's some new information, here's this and this. And I really like podcasts where you get to hear about what people think. You get to hear about their experiences. You get to hear like their story, just from people, just from regular people like around you.
Yeah.
And I wanted to create that. I want to create that experience for people in college. I want like that voice, the college kid voice, to get out.
That is so, like, that is just so, like, perfect for your, like, that's the way you feel like you're going to be helping your community through what you love.
Yeah, that's all.
And that is so amazing.
I'm hoping to promote it more to like get it, because I don't have a huge, I just haven't been promoting it, so I need to start promoting it more so more people can hear it. But yeah, it's been going well. It's a good time. It's really good to just talk to someone.
Okay, so you're talking about talking with people, right? Who is your dream guest? If you could have anyone on this podcast, it can be, you know what, I'll even make it better. It can be dead or alive, literally anyone.
Oh, man. I really want to talk to... I could answer this.
This is like that question.
I don't want to talk to Abe Lincoln.
You want to talk to Abe Lincoln?
I want to start there. I don't want to talk to Abe Lincoln.
What's the first question you would ask him above like everything else? Like, what is the first thing?
Oh man, I don't know. I would ask him what he... I would want to, it wouldn't be about the questions that I asked him, honestly. I don't know, I would want to see what that person was like. You read descriptions about Abe Lincoln, and everyone says he was, like, the man.
Yeah.
Everyone says that he was, like, the guy you could trust, the guy that, like, cared about everything around him. And I would find it very important to talk to someone that was like that, just to see how they
think.
How they talk, how they think, how they like. He was, you get a good idea about what he cared about, so you can't ask like, what do you think is important? Because, I mean, I would ask that, but I don't think that'd be the best part of the interview. I think it'd just be good to talk to someone like Abe Lincoln.
Yeah. Someone
that had different priorities than, like, almost ethereal priorities. Like so many other presidents and leaders did good things, but also got a lot of power from what they did.
Yeah.
And that was one president who genuinely seemed to want something else. It's hard to say what it was, but...
He wanted something better.
He wanted something better. And it's hard to say what's better, I think that's really, like, I want to know, that's what I would ask him. What is your better? Because for so many people, I think better is different for different people. And that's the person I'd want to know what their better was. Not mansions, not money. But maybe, I don't know.
Like, what does a better world look like?
What does a better world look like to you?
I remember hearing this one, or reading this one quote from Abe Lincoln, and he said, you can please all of the people some of the time, some of the people all the time, and some of the people some of the time, but you can't please all of the people all the time.
Never.
And I feel like he understood that. Probably understood that more than a lot of people.
Yeah. That would be a great interview.
Yeah.
Besides him, you know who I would want to interview? I'd want to interview Dostoevsky, or like Nizich, one of those Russian.
Oh yeah.
Russian writers.
Yeah, those really like
the world
famous philosophers.
The world is just the worst. See, I want to see both sides. I want to see like Abe Lincoln, who clearly was super optimistic, and like I don't want to like read like the most pessimistic person and go like, okay. What are we doing here?
That would be so cool, just hearing that contrast, man.
Have Abe Lincoln and Dostoevsky in a room would be The dream. That's the interview that I want above all else. Who would you want to talk to?
Ooh. I gotta say, dead, I would say Alexander Hamilton. And I know,
yeah, that's a good one.
I know that people are gonna say like, oh, because you're a theater kid, right? And
No,
you're right. They're right, but he's
just to show him how good you could play him in the play.
mean, like, could you imagine being Alexander Hamilton, being transported to today, and watching Lin-Manuel Miranda play you and your life? That would be amazing to see his reaction. But also, he was the architect of America, really. Like, he designed what America was going to look like.
Yeah.
He famously wrote 51 papers describing how to apply the Constitution correctly, more than the other two people that were also working on it. In fact, he wrote 51, and then I would say, how does the song go again? It's like James Madison wrote 8, John Adams wrote 24, and Hamilton wrote the other 51.
Mm-hmm.
So he really was the original brain of America. He was the first guy that said, this is how we're going to do things. And this is how this country is going to operate for the foreseeable future. And asking him, is this kind of what you expected today's world? Or are your predictions on certain policies and politics, did they turn out to be true? And being able to ask the literal founder those questions would be so cool to me.
Well, with that, we have to wrap this up before we go.
Holy smokes! It did not feel like 2 hours, man.
I need quick advice for everyone that's listening.
Quick advice.
Everyone that's in college. Crying over their homework.
For anyone who's crying over their homework, for the people who are crying over their homework, just talk to your professors, man. It is so easy. Just talk to your professors. I could not figure this one Excel spreadsheet out. I call my professor, message him, say, how do I do this? We get on a call, spend an hour trying to figure it out. Neither of us come to a conclusion. We cannot figure out the problem with this Excel file.
I'm dead.
He ends up giving me 20 points even though I missed it because the Excel file was broken. So just talk to your professors. And above all else, this one, I feel like everyone, no matter who you are, should hear this. Just be kind. It is so easy and it takes you so far, so much further than anything else. Just being kind will put you ahead of so many people.
Thank you for being on, Jack.